tuned into The Truth with G. Inspire, educate, and uplift. If you can't handle the truth, this ain't the show for you. The truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So sit back, relax, and buckle up and enjoy this ride.
The Truth with G. The Truth with G. The Truth with G. All right. Welcome back to the show. You're listening to The Truth with G on WPMM Internet Radio. I am your boy, Gerald Graham, also known as G. Once again, we are back to talk about the issues that matter to you and your community. Hope all is well. We are on the second day of the year 2023. We have entered 20 Deuce Trey, I'm calling it. I'm tagging that. 20 Deuce Trey is where we are, 2023. Second day of the year. Hope everybody had a safe and happy holiday, if you will. Keyword being safe, because we had a lot of shenanigans going on in the last 48 hours. A lot of shenanigans that we're going to talk about tonight. But again, I hope that you guys had a safe and a joyous new year, brought in the new year the right way. I know a lot of people was in church, some people was in the club, some people was at home in the bed. So however you did it, hopefully that is you was at peace with it, and going into the new year with a new attitude, new perspective, new outlook on life, and going to change some things that you may not have done in the past for the betterment of yourselves. So once again, welcome back to the show. We're going to have we'll be talking about a few topics tonight. I'm going to have a special guest coming on as well in just a few moments. Want to take care of the particulars. Want to thank you for tuning in right here every Monday and Thursday, 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on WPMM Radio, where WPMM Radio will play more music. We have the best in R&B, jazz, talk, neo, soul, independent hip-hop, and old school music. Listen to WPMM from our website at WPMMradio.com. You can always go there. We're on iTunes. Tune in. We are on also Alexa. You can tell Alexa to play WPMM. She will oblige as well. You can also download the app from the Google Play Store or the iPhone apps. It's a free app. You do not have to pay anything for the app, and you can take it with any mobile device that you have. Just type in WPMM. Also streaming live on Facebook. We also have a YouTube and Twitch. You can catch me on my Facebook page and WPMM Facebook page. Also have the YouTube page as well. So there's multiple ways you can listen to the show. Also, if you have somebody who is not tech savvy, just text them, WPMMradio.com, WPMMradio.com. Just text that to them. And all they have to do is click on the link, hit play, and they can listen to the show as well. If you're on Facebook, let's go ahead and share. I see I have Miss Savory on tonight. Good to see you tonight, Miss Savory. Happy New Year to you. You and Mr. Oscar there. Tell Mr. Oscar I said Happy New Year as well. Again, once again, I appreciate you listening. I tell everybody I have the greatest audience in the world, and I know a lot of people may be watching the Rose Bowl right about now, but hopefully you'll take a little time out to listen to the old guy tonight. So, but let's go ahead and finish up with the particulars so we can go ahead and jump on into the show. The views and the opinions expressed by individual radio hosts and guests are of their own and does not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of WPMM Radio. WPMM does not intend to align with any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, individual, or anyone or anything. Like I've been telling you for 2.5 years, that just means that you can't sue WPMM because these are my words, these are my thoughts, this is the truth as I see it, and I vet everything that I say. So if you try to sue me, one, you're not going to win because I'm telling the truth. Two, if you do win, I have 17 cents in that jelly jar that sits by my bed. I give you the 17 cents and you can have the jelly jar. So let's see. Miss Deborah Rivers has joined us on Facebook as well. Appreciate you joining us. Once again, if you're on Facebook, go ahead and share. But tonight we're going to discuss. I had a whole nother lineup going on, but with the shenanigans that we've had over the last 48 hours, I had to kind of divert, and we're going to talk about this violence that is continuing on. We started out the new year with a little violence spree going on across the area, and not just Pensacola, but in surrounding areas as well. And it's just the news in the last 24 hours has been kind of disheartening. And not just the last 24 hours, actually the last couple of weeks, there has been so many acts of violence going on, particularly and also in the domestic area of things. Got a lot of domestic violence going on. We're going to talk about that as well. So, but I want to have someone on the live with me tonight. He is he's been listening to the show, and I appreciate him listening to the show, and he has expressed that he wants to be a part of the show, and I told him I would get him on, and we're going to get him on tonight. So let's go ahead and see if we can bring him on in here. Let's see, do we have him yet? I think we have him. Mr. Larry Simmons is with me tonight. Are you there, Mr. Larry?
Yes, sir, I am. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you. I'm going to turn you. Okay, I'm going to bring you in like that. All right. So, Mr. Simmons, what's going on with you, sir?
How you doing, young man? And Happy New Year to you and your family. And I'm just grateful to be on with you, my brother. This is what you're doing, man. It's great. Thank God for people who are seeing the need to step up their game and be a voice in our own community, because can't nobody tell our story like we can. So thank God for people like you, man, who are going forth in this positive endeavor. Thanks for inviting me as well.
Oh, I appreciate that. And no problem with the invite. Like I say, my door is open to anyone and everyone that want to come on and talk about the issues, because nothing starts without a conversation. You have to talk about it before you can do anything about it.
Absolutely.
So we have to have a conversation, and I appreciate you guys like you, Mr. Simmons, and the other listeners that want to be a part of it. Everybody's not set up to do everything, but each person can do their part.
Absolutely.
So that's where we at now. And Mr. Simmons, and I know you've been listening to the show. We're Facebook friends and everything, and I know your comments and your outlook on certain situations is somewhat similar to mine. Especially when it comes to this community stuff. And before we even get into these news stories here, as far as community wise, and I know you've been outspoken, so don't clam up on me now. So
People that hear you say that, they know Larry Simmons is not about to clam up now.
So with the climate that we're in right now, especially in our community, in Pensacola, and not just Pensacola, but I want to mainly focus in Pensacola, because we're that's where we make our living, and we settle our feet here. So what is the in your view, what is the major concern here in our community today?
Well, let me first by starting saying that Pensacola is my hometown. I will always love Pensacola. I currently live in Albany, Georgia, but Pensacola is always on my mind. I have a lot of roots there. I went to college there. I graduated from Pensacola Junior College when it was still called Pensacola Junior College. And I graduated from University of West Florida with a bachelor's degree in social work. So this is where my heart is when we're talking about community issues. Much of my research while attending college was gangs and gang violence, and why do young people join gangs. And I did a lot of research on that because I came, you know, I was involved with some guys coming up that I consider myself a little, you know, like a gang. We did some crazy stuff. We was organized. So when I became a, when I became a student, I kind of wanted to understand why I did those things. You know, what drew me to participating in some of the things that I did, and why do people like doing this? And so this is an issue that I love to talk about, even though, you know, being trained in a field and actually practicing it. Before I left Pensacola, I went into a drug-infested community and started a program of football, cheerleading, basketball, baseball, and all of that stuff. And the gangbangers used to threaten me every day. They used to threaten me every day, brother. And that's, you know, and I say that to say this. There's a need for men to step up to the plate.
Right.
And that's the reason why our communities has become like they are, because, you know, if you step up to the plate, you're going to get some threats. I can't tell you how many gangbangers used to threaten me. Right there on Gregory Street, Gregory and G is where I started my program, Legion Field. You know what Legion Field is,
oh, right? Yeah. I was over there recently.
Okay, Luma May runs, well, his crew runs that park now. But I'm the one who came in and started that from scratch when the gangbangers was running things in that neighborhood. And I was threatened every day, and I built that program from scratch, did the lobbying with the city government, and went through the threats, and they would come, the kids would come with the threats, what they said. I said, tell them they're going to have to do what they got to do. I ain't going nowhere. And how many men are brave enough to say that, you know, say, hey, they're going to have to kill me. Because this is what I'm doing right now. God sent me here for this purpose. So you can come on and do what you got to do. But I'm going to coach these kids and build some programs in these communities to keep them from joining gangs. So I just wanted to make that introduction to you about who I am and where I'm from.
Okay, and that's some very insightful information there. I think that's a wonderful thing that you did, that you started, and I know that you're continuing on in the fight to particularly save our youth, and you know, because that's where I can't put all the blame on the youth, but you know, that had just our focus, if you will, because some of these old heads we can't change their minds. But we have an opportunity to change the mind of a lot of these younger folks, you know, and with people like yourself, you know, I'm in the community as much as I can be, you know, based on what I do and my time frame. I'm out there as much as I can be, but I can't be out there all the time. So, right. You know, I my hat's off to you in your efforts and what you've done in the Pensacola community and what you're doing now, and I'm glad I have someone who's not only trained and educated in this area, but is actually out there doing the work. So I appreciate you.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, but I give the glory to God, because had it not been for Him, I wouldn't even be sitting here, because I could have lost my life and lost my freedom from some of the things I've been through and some of the things I've done too, you know? Yeah. So I just thank God for saving me from that kind of mindset when I was young. So I just think I have to give God the praise, brother. I just have to do that.
Hey, to God be the glory. To God be the glory. And I was one of those, you know, coming up, you know, I'm assuming we're maybe somewhat close in age. I'm 55, so I'm born and raised right here in Pensacola as well. I went from Oak Crest Elementary School to Brownsville Middle School to Pensacola High School. You know, and my days coming up, I was always one of those kids who I would go right there to the edge. And that's where I would stop. I would stop right there on the edge. I would stop right on the edge of freedom and incarceration. I would never cross that line. You know, I roll with you until we get to that point to where if I cross that line, I'm going to jail. I wouldn't cross that line. But you know, I grew up in Evanwood. You know, I grew up in Evanwood.
Okay.
And you know, Evanwood, Bellhead, Gary Circle, you know, those are the people that I hung with. And you know, had a lot of people come out of the neighborhood successful, but at the same time, had a lot of people that didn't make it.
Right, absolutely, bro.
You know,
a lot of us brothers share that story, bro. A lot of people we grew up with didn't make it, bro.
Yeah, a lot of them didn't make it. And I pride myself in saying at 55 years old that I've never been arrested. I've never been in the back of a police car. I've never been in a jailhouse. I've never had a court case to go to because I just, at a young age, I decided that jail is one place I'm not going. And I try to encourage people around me to have that same mindset. Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. You know what I mean? But I do feel that over the years I have influenced people to kind of go on the straight and narrow, and people that, you know, especially younger folks, because I spent 25, 26 years coaching in the area as well. Baseball, football, and you know, it makes my heart feel good when the kids that I coach will come back to me and, you know, it's always Coach Gerald, and sometimes it kind of throws me off guard because I ain't coached in the last about 4 years. So it's always Coach Gerald, and you know, appreciate what you did for me and these things of that nature. That makes me feel good. And you know, can't save everybody. I know I have one kid. I have one kid that I coach that he's incarcerated now, and I have to say that when I was coaching this kid, I knew he was on that path. I only had him an hour and a half, 2 hours a day at practice. But when he left me, he went to his environment, and he was a product of his environment. And it just, when I found out that he was incarcerated, it wasn't a big surprise. I was sad to hear it. You know, I was hoping for the best for him, but it was sad to hear it. And you know, now I think he got to do 15 years or some crap like that. So hopefully once he get out, he can. That's the only story that I know over the kids that I coached that went that way. You know what I mean? So, but you know, you can. Yeah, Go ahead.
I was just about to say I've had some similar experience. There's two kids. I mean, I've coached a lot of kids, and I've heard them say to me as well, "Thank you, Coach Larry. You know, I have a father." There's a lot of success stories because I've been coaching ever since I was 19 years old, and I just stopped coaching about 5 years ago, and I'm 65.
Okay.
And so there's one guy that I know of that's passed on. He was killed by some other gangbangers, and one of them murdered about 2 or 3 people. This one kid, he was so good, my brother. He was a running back. Every time he touched the ball, he's scoring with it. He probably would have been better than Emmitt Smith if he would have stayed with that. But he ended up joining a gang and killing 2 people.
Wow. Mm-hmm. And that's sad because sometimes the streets give them more love than the people that criticize them. You know, the streets ain't gonna criticize them. The streets gonna praise them for all the wrongdoing, and then when he get around people that should be trying to encourage him, you know, that he probably faced a lot of criticism versus encouragement, and that just pushes you farther out there in the streets, you know. But you know, that's one of the things we got to get on the grown folks about. Like I said, we can't put all the blame on the kids.
Well, definitely not. These days, bro, I'm going to tell you, as a social worker, man, and I worked for DCF, and I did an internship with them while I was in college. Brother, there's a lot of issues with our families these days, bro. The family structure. If you know research, if you know how to research, you know that most of the households are headed by females. Not saying that females can't raise children, but a lot of our females, when you look at the stats, a lot of our females, well, a lot of them in our inner cities, they're dropping out of school because they have children at an early age. They get in the system and they're living in public housing. And a lot of gangbangers hang out in public housing. I used to work for the Tallahassee Housing Authority. I've had to run gangbangers out of the complex. They had taken over. They were selling drugs out of the complex. They was corrupting the kids. So I know it exists. I was working for the Housing Authority. I had to remove them. I mean, I used the system to remove them, but I had to start a campaign to get them out of the housing projects, bro. So that's what's going on these days. These kids are being raised by mothers who have dropped out of school themselves, and they're not getting that male presence. These kids' fathers, whether they be in prison or doing the thug thing, you know, the gang thing, no one is raising these kids, you know. And the mother, you know, they either working or just on welfare and not doing anything for themselves. So as a social worker, I've seen this, and I've been in the homes of people who are actually living this kind of life, you know?
Right. And I know, and with the stats will show, and I don't know the exact number, but it's over 80%. Over 80% of the people who are currently incarcerated comes up in a single family home, a single parent home.
Absolutely.
Over 80%.
And that's what the problem is. Us men, we're not stepping up to the plate, man, and taking care of we bring these kids in the world, but we don't care about, you know, taking care of them. We'll get a doggone one of these big old dogs and we feed them. They look good, but we won't do the same thing for our children, you know. Right. And that's what's going on in our community. Fathers are not stepping up to the plate.
Right. And Mr. Simmons, I'll tell you, I was raised by my mother. I never had a father figure in my entire life. Never had a father figure in my entire life. However, my mother was married up until the point I was 8 years old. And the person she was married to was my biological father. But I never, it's sad for me to sit here and say, I never knew the man. I don't have a positive memory of this individual at all. And they divorced when I was 8 years old, and I never had a relationship from literally from birth to the day he died. Never had a relationship. So I never had a father figure in my life. I never had a male role model, if you will, in my life. So as a child, my mentality was, I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be the father that I never had.
Absolutely.
I mean, as a kid, I used to think that I used to say whenever I have kids or whatever the case may be, I'm going to do with my kids what I wanted that person to do with me, and or feel about me, or whatever the case was. I vowed to be the father that I never had. And I can say the one thing that individual taught me, if I can say anything positive about him, he taught me how not to be when it comes, especially when it comes to my kids.
Absolutely. So, brother,
So,
what you did was you was resilient in that you didn't have a father, but you had at an early age, at a young age, you decided that without a father, I'm going to be successful. And, unfortunately, the stats and the results of those stats, the outcomes show that a lot of people are not fortunate to take that option that you took. Being a man and want to show your own manhood by being a man and being a father if you ever had children.
Right. And I could have easily fell victim to the streets because of, some of the people I hung around. I could have easily been one of those, another statistic, being incarcerated if I had chose to do the things that they did or whatever case may be. But my whole life, I made a conscious effort. I was gonna graduate high school. I made sure I was gonna graduate high school, and if I had kids, I was gonna be the father that I never had. And those two things, I thought as a kid, those two are the two goals I had in life, and I've accomplished both of those. My last child turned 18 back in July. He's at University of North Alabama right now.
Awesome, brother.
So, I can't say I've been the best father. I can't say I've never made a mistake, because I have. But you grow and you learn. But one thing that I have 3 boys, one thing that my boys can tell you, anybody, is that dad never told them or advocated or condoned them doing anything that they were not supposed to do.
Absolutely. Sound like a good man and a good father, brother. We need more men like you.
So I raised them the best way I knew how. When my first child came along when I was 20 years old, and at 20, I'm still learning how to be an adult and trying to raise a kid, but I did the best I can. My second child, he's 31 right now, and then, like I said, my last one turned 18 back in July, and he's in college right now. So, it's a learning process. I do what I can. I be the best father that I can. I don't do everything right, but I never tell them to do anything wrong.
Absolutely.
And I'm
we
not.
Don't make mistakes, bro.
So, and I'm not gonna advocate. And one of the things it's funny that I tell my kids, and I from the oldest one down, I always told them that if you ever go out there and you get caught up in something that's out of your control, and you get arrested for something, I'm going to beat the police down to the police station to get you up out of there. But if you go against everything that I've taught you, and you go out there and do something that you ain't supposed to be doing, and the police come get you, you better call somebody that's going to come get you, because I'm going to let you ride.
That's what my father told me every day, and I was blessed to have a father in the home. And so that's what my father used to tell us, don't call him, because he ain't coming. Yeah.
Because I done taught you right. If you done went out there and did something you ain't supposed to do, and you're going to get locked up for it, don't call me. I ain't wasting my money on no bail. I ain't signing over. I ain't putting my house up for you. And no, because you knew better. You got to ride that one out. You got to suffer the consequences. But if you got caught up in something, because it's a lot of times, particularly black men will get locked up and hadn't done nothing wrong.
Absolutely.
So, and one of those situations. So one of those situations, I'm the first one I'll be there before the police, before they get you out the police car. I'll be there to get you out. But don't call me when you done something stupid.
But you know what, brother? I know you want to talk about this violent thing. What has happened in our culture, my brother? And I don't want to keep bringing up my curriculum, because our social work curriculum man, we talk about these things, man. We see the research, it's sitting right there in our face.
Right.
But what is happening now in our communities, man, a lot of our young people, man, they're, you know, they're embracing that thug life. And
Right.
what they're doing through the videos, through the music, is making these kids accept thug life as if it's some kind of life here in America. You know,
Mm.
in social work we call it a subculture. They've created a world unto themselves, and
Right.
they have taken on this thug mentality, and partying and doing drugs and selling drugs and killing folks is really the theme of that thug type of life.
Yeah. And it goes that it also goes well. Also, what goes with that is the people that they have in their life that is influencing them. For instance, because what you said is 100% true, that they tend to want to live this life that these rappers are rapping about. 9 times out of 10, these rappers have never even went through half the crap they saying on these songs.
Right.
But they want to adapt that type of mentality or whatever the case may be. But on the flip side, like for instance, I'm gonna use my youngest son as an example because he's, he done grew up with this. Back in the day, we had, what they called gangster rap, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
But this rap they have nowadays is I think is beyond gangster rap.
Oh yeah.
The gangster rap that they was rapping about then was about things that actually took place in the hood or whatever the case may be. The stuff that they're doing now and the stuff they're doing now is almost drawing a roadmap to prison, But
oh yeah.
with that being said, and using my youngest son as an example, one of these songs can come on the radio and he may know the lyrics and whatever, he may be able to sing along with it, but the people around him, like myself and his mom and positive people that he have around him, he know the difference in singing along to this rap song versus doing what these rappers are saying to do, because he has those positive influences to where he understands that's just the music. But everybody don't have that advantage, especially these young black guys, these young black kids that come from these single parent homes, and their influence are the ones that's making the rap. You know what I mean? So it's I've been trying to come up with solutions for our kids, and I know you put something on one of your comments, and you was asking about as far as the kids, how can we stop this violence, and how can we? That's a question I wish I had the answer to. I wish I had a magic wand and I can just wave that magic wand and we can get rid of it. But the answer to that question is so complex and so hard to answer, because there's no one solution.
For social workers. It's hard for social workers and anybody in that field that deals with the community. It's a hard thing, but there is a process and there's a model for doing these things, and that's what's not reaching the community. If you don't get your colleges involved, your social work departments involved, but the main thing is you got to have a strong men's group to be the nucleus. Because see, if like here in Albany, what I did when I was in college, I got the University of West Florida involved. I got involved with the city of Pensacola police department. I was in college when I wrote my first grant. In fact, that's how I started Legion Field, through a grant through Weed and Seed. Have you ever heard of Weed and Seed?
I have.
It was a federal program to reduce crime in neighborhoods. And when I heard there was a task force discussing those, I said, I need to get on that task force. I was going to college full time, but I made sure I took out time to be a part of the conversation. And I was one of the ones who stood up for youth programs for that community. And I said, we need sports. So that's what kept me out of trouble when I was a kid, sports. And the research says after school programs, sports, and all of that are the major or the key things that keep kids out of trouble. So when I realized that through research, I said, man, let's go for it. Let's start a program at Legion Field. And because that area is where all the kids, the gangbangers were, and all the kids that didn't have positive programs and role models, so I said, hey, this will be an opportunity to go back in my old neighborhood because, I grew up in the tan yard and there was people like Khrushchev, started football programs and kept us out of trouble. So, I'm trying to pay it forward, but as a social worker, my thing was to stop crime, give these kids a chance, don't let their life go down the drain, and be in prison. And they hadn't seen outside of Pensacola yet. That's what I was seeing with my own eyes, my brother.
All right. Well, if you're just joining us right here on the Truth with G on WPMM Internet Radio, we're talking about the situation with the crime in our area. I have with me Mr. Larry Simmons. He's a Pensacola native. He's now living in Albany, Georgia. But he listens to the show and he wanted to be a part of the show. And I have got him on here. And this will not be his last appearance on the show. This gentleman has a lot of knowledge, a lot of education, a lot of background to where he has been active in helping the community to grow and prosper. And he has the same passion that I have in regards to trying to come up with solutions to kind of get our community back to where we feel safe. So again, if you're just joining me, this is Mr. Larry Simmons with us. So with that being said, Mr. Larry, let's kind of move on here and talk. Okay. And like I said, this show kind of took a turn because I was going a different way with the show today, and it kind of took a different turn because of the events over the weekend, right around the holiday, and the week or so leading up to the holiday as well. There was some devastating news, some tragic news. So Pensacola, we got to do better, and this happened. Right after midnight on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, whatever you want to call it, we have had I'm gonna call it a rash of drive-bys. This is something that you didn't hear about in Pensacola. My whole young adult life, and didn't hear about drive-bys, but and I'm gonna read this story, so because Mr. Larry may not be up on it, but I'm gonna read the particulars here. Okay, one person was injured in a early morning drive-by shooting in Pensacola on Sunday, according to Pensacola police. It happened in the area of 9th Avenue and Blunt Street around 4:25 a.m. The officers responded to a local hospital where a victim told police he had been shot as he waited at a red light at 9th and Blunt. The victim sustained non-life-threatening injuries. The police say he drove himself to the hospital after being shot once. Officers located 25 shell casings at the scene, according to police. An investigation is ongoing. No further details were released. 25 shell casings that was fired at this individual as he sat in his car at a red light. Mm. So, Mr. Larry, like I said, you're a Pensacola native. Why is this going on? Why is this type of thing happening?
I can tell you exactly why it's happening. I'm not a guru, and social workers don't know everything. But I do know this, and I've been looking at trends for a very long time, bro. And I've read some articles about how in these big northern cities, this thing been going on for a number of years in cities like Chicago and New York,
LA.
Washington D.C. and L.A. These things been going. But see, what has happened is these gangbangers have run out of ground in their home cities, and this is what they're saying, brother. Based on the research that I've read, they say since there's not a whole lot of territory. I mean, we've done all we could do here to spread our craft, our business. Maybe we need to go south, where the policemen don't have no idea how we operate. They're not prepared for us. The smaller cities, they backwards and they come. I'm saying this is what they got on their mind. They backwards. We can talk them in. They're hooking up with us, and we'll train these young boys how to be killers like us. They already killers. So what they've done, brother, they've come south, and the smaller southern cities, the police officers are not trained or have knowledge of this big city gang. These gang members, man, they operate like a real business and a military. A lot of them are military trained. They go to basic training, brother, to get training. You know, and they might be in a gang. Once they do their little basic training, you know, and they'll do a couple of years, they come back and they teach their friends how to do war type stuff. I was in the military. I spent 5.5, 6 years in the military, so I know how it works. But I've read articles, brother. The Ku Klux Klan is doing this, and the black gangs are doing this. They moving south, and they teaching these young Southern boys how to be killers, and it's all about drugs. See, when our government, especially our state governments, have gotten into the drug business, so that means the profit pie is getting smaller because the state governments are selling weed now.
Right.
So that's cutting into their budget. So the pie is shrinking.
Right. Yeah.
And then when you have it's economics. The pie is getting smaller. So now we got to fight for this small slither slice of pie. That's what's going on, my brother. That's why the killing have increased all over the country. It's all these small southern cities like Albany, this little small city. Man, them gangbangers doing it up here the same way, brother. And this is a small city. They get down the same way right here, and a lot of other small cities. What has happened? These Bloods and Crips have sprinkled themselves around here, and they're training these young locals how to gangbang and how to be killers to spread their drugs. Because man, they fighting over territory and they fighting over money, bro. That's why so many killings are taking place. Now, I could be wrong I'm not 100% right, but that's what the research is showing. You know, and I've been in, committees with gang units, Tallahassee. I used to meet with them on a weekly basis, bro, in Tallahassee, because the gang thing is big in Tallahassee. And I've even worked as a security guard in Tallahassee as well. So I done seen so much stuff, bro. It's a shame. It's a shame what's going on.
Yeah, and with these, these type of drive-bys, like say, if you go back, especially when I was coming up and even in my early adulthood, never heard of a drive-by in Pensacola. Never heard of it. And within the last couple of years, it's like they've been happening. And if you think back, the situation with LD. LD was basically a drive-by. There was a case where somebody's home got shot up. There was another case where an individual got shot. I think he got shot in the leg on a drive-by, and you just keep hearing about these drive-by shootings. And it has a lot to do with the gang. And I tend to call the people in Pensacola that are claiming they're in gang. I keep calling them wannabes. Because the real gangs are in the bigger cities or whatever, and I keep calling these. I keep calling these
down here, brother. They try to make that southern money, man. They making that southern money now, bro. They done moved down here, bro. They done moved, bro.
I call them wannabes because it's like I guess I need to get into some of the inner workings of gang activity and find out some of the origins of these people that are claiming to be in gangs, so on and so forth. But the activity that I'm seeing around Pensacola is similar or the same as the Chicagos and the Detroits and the LAs and Dallas and those in those big metropolitan cities. And we didn't I know I keep going back and say, me going back in my day, we didn't experience that, and now it's rampant, and I fear. I pray to God that I never come up in a situation where somebody's coming after me, because
if you're in the drug game, they ain't gonna mess with you, but you can be shot as an innocent bystander. Right. There's a little kid several years ago in Pensacola. There was a little baby. I think the baby was like 3-4 years old. Was sitting in the house, and a stray bullet hit him. That touched me so bad to where I had. We was going through some stop the violence stuff in Tallahassee, and I just wanted to carry something that represented that kid. And there's a brother in Pensacola that does, he wrapped the cars real good. I can't think of his name right now, but he's one of the innovators in doing the, wrapping cars with the artwork and all that stuff, the signage and all of that. But he made me a big giant size poster of that kid. And we did a big rally and march in Tallahassee, and I carried his picture, man, to express, man, the outrage that even the little babies are not safe anymore.
Right.
The little babies, man.
You probably either talk about Corey Knight or Van Spencer that did
Corey. I haven't talked with Corey in a long time. Is he still around?
He's still around. He's still in business doing the graphics.
I got to reach out to him, man. Because it's been a while since I talked to him.
Yeah, he's still doing it. So, but that was one thing that happened with that drive-by that happened. Another case over in Pace, a former Escambia County cadet was arrested for the murder of her husband in a domestic violence situation. She had applied for. She was on the cadet program in the sheriff department here in Escambia County for a period of time. Apparently, she didn't pass all of her requirements, so she was never put on as a sheriff deputy. But she is locked up now under no bond for killing her husband. And let's just read what the last report that I got on her. Let's say it's former Escambia County Sheriff Office cadet charged with homicide in Pace. She's charged with killing her husband during a domestic violence incident overnight in Pace. Chloe Davidson, 32, charged first-degree felony homicide and second-degree felony weapons offense. She was booked in Santa Rosa County Jail at 4:45 a.m. is being held without bond. Santa Rosa deputies responded to the home in the 3900 block of Deerwood Circle in Pace around 1:40 a.m. for the shooting. And that's another situation where domestic violence is another thing that was on my list. We've seen a lot of that, a lot of domestic violence killings, if you will. That killing over in Pace, we had 2 murder suicides in domestic violence cases over 2. I want to say, I know 2 for sure in this year, where there were murder suicides, where the male killed the female, then killed themselves. We had a situation where there was a killing because of it was domestic in nature, but it centered around somewhat of wasn't really a lover's circle, if you will. Somebody's cheating, whatever. It was somebody that was trying to cheat with somebody that was jealous of the husband and ended up killing the husband. I mean, all these domestic situations that has happened, and the influx of domestic violence. I've been with my wife for 27 years. We've been together. We've been married for 22 years. I would think before I choose to kill her, I would just walk away from her. But we have all these people in these situations, and you never know what's going on behind the scenes, and we continue to have these situations where this domestic violence is taking place, and unfortunately, there's only a few of it that hit the news cycle that's actually reported. But there are so many people in domestic violence situation, male and female. And that's another thing that we got to find answers to. How do we get people to stop abusing the people that they're with?
It used to be a time when people used to talk things out. But we got a culture now, and you see it all over the TV screens. These reality shows, everybody fighting and pulling each other's weaves out their head.
Oh man!
And the music. People even take pictures now, and they throwing a finger, like F you, and they don't even know people. It's just a culture of violence and drama. We just, in guns, man, guns are everywhere. The devil just putting out guns out there for anybody to get, because when you're in anger, if you got a gun close by, and if you have a problem, anger problem, man, and because of all that stuff is in our heads, and we're living in a culture where we're hearing this thing happen, people lose it. And that's what's happening with our generation, this newer generation, man, who's mostly impacted by all this drama, reality TV shows. They go straight for the guns now, man. There's no talking things anymore. That's unfortunate that this is on the increase. It's on the increase as well.
Okay, and there's many others, but the last story I'm gonna cover here on that's in the last 48 hours, if you will. 1 killed, 9 injured, downtown Mobile, New Year's Eve mass shooting. Another mass shooting. 24-year-old man was killed and 9 others were injured in a mass shooting downtown Mobile on New Year's Eve. Police were called to the 2000 block of Dolphin Street around 11:15 p.m. for shots fired. Upon arrival, officers discovered a 24-year-old man shot and killed. 9 others suffered gunshot wounds. The victims' ages ranges from 17 to 57 years old. They were all transported to local hospitals with injuries ranging from non-threatening to severe. In addition, 2 businesses were also struck by gunfire. There are no known suspects at this time. An investigation is ongoing. And this story came out yesterday or early this morning. My understanding is that they have a suspect. Right before I came on the air, I saw something that may be a suspect in custody. So, but I didn't have time to check that out yet. So I'll get that information and get it to you guys. But even a situation like this, a gathering to celebrate the coming of a new year, and one dead, 9 shot. Again, what is the mentality of these people, man? Why is it? I know mental illness is something that need to be addressed, but I tend not to blame everything on mental illness, especially when it comes to these mass shootings, because I think you have to be somewhat cognitive of what you're doing when you orchestrate a mass killing. You can't just be flat out crazy. You have to. These things are normally planned. It's not spur of the moment where you just wake up one morning and say, I'm about to go kill these people.
Well, with gangs, sometimes you have to prove your loyalty to be in a gang, and they'll actually, they get hyped on meth and all these other, drugs that cause them to hallucinate. But sometimes they're set on missions to do something crazy to show that they're loyal to that gang. I'm not saying this might be one of those cases, but that's what they do. And you never know when one of these kids are like, I'm trying to get jumped in. So they told me I had to go out there and prove my loyalty by going out, just start shooting up a bunch of people, because, in that game, they might suspect somebody being a undercover. So they have to they have to make them do things to prove that they're not an undercover. So there's a lot of stuff going on among group gangs, man. They come up with all kind of ways to prove your loyalty, and sometimes that to prove your loyalty, you got to kill somebody. I've read so many stories about that, bro.
Yeah, that is so unfortunate, and like I said, the initiation in these gangs are often where you got to do something stupid, to feel like you're a part of a group or organization or whatever. And that's one thing that we need to focus on when it comes to dealing with our kids. We need to figure out a way for people that are going to have a positive influence to trump, if you will, and I hate using that word, to trump the people that are using negative influences over these kids. We gotta figure out a way to make these young people see that going to jail or going to the grave is not cool.
Well, brother, there are answers, man, and I hope sometime in the future, especially with your call-in shows, man, we can start discussing solutions, because that's the only way we're going to start changing things, man, is when we come together and we talk, and then we have to put together a plan, brother. I'm willing to come on and be a part of talking through how to create a movement, brother. I've done some things, brother. In Tallahassee, man, we've kind of cleaned up a whole community. And when you go to that community now, man, there's affordable housing, there's businesses, bro. It's cleaned up, bro. And I've seen it happen. I was a part of it. I started the movement, and it just turned to something. And now, 5-10 years later, they building affordable housing in that area where a gang had been controlling that area for 50-something years, brother. 50-something years they was controlling this street called Alabama Street. Anybody from Tallahassee or been to Tallahassee know something about Alabama Street? That's where the gangbangers hang out. And it was like 2 blocks from my housing project that I work for, the housing authority. Bro, we cleaned that up, and I'm willing to share how I went about doing it and how I was able to get the community to come together, the ministers to come together, law enforcement, the federal government, and state government. I'm willing to share that information because we need that information. You know, I learned it in school and then I practice it. So now I can share that information on how we can go about changing things in our communities. Because that's I wouldn't be talking if I'm not willing to come up with some solutions.
Right. And that's the whole
it's
purpose.
bad, but there are solutions.
That's the whole purpose, to come up with solutions to the problems that we're talking about. But again, like I always say, nothing's get done without a conversation first. If nobody's talking about it, is nothing's going to happen. So, I can say I wasn't called to be a community leader, or I feel like my calling is to bring awareness to the situations, and then
Absolutely.
hopefully the people that are the ones that are called to be community leaders and have organizations or whatever will pick up what I'm saying and take the torch and keep the torch going until we get some resolution, if you will. So, we definitely need people like you, Mr. Simmons. I appreciate you. I appreciate everything that you've done, what you're doing now. We would definitely be talking again. I would love to get a panel together and have you in on the panel.
Absolutely. That's what I'm talking about, my brother.
I'll be reaching out to, our county commissioners, our city council, our sheriff department, things of that nature, to try to get something going. Because we have to do something. Our community is in peril right now, and our young people are in jeopardy of just not being in position to take care of us when we get to the point that we can't take care of ourselves.
Absolutely, you know what I mean? Brother.
Because these young people are the ones that's going to take over. We'll be in to the point that where we, age ain't gonna slow down for nobody. Time ain't gonna stop for nobody. So, we can't keep relying on the older people to continue trying to keep things together. We got to groom these young people to take over and do what they're supposed to do. And right now we're losing too many of our young people, not just to the grave, but to the streets. And we got to reel them back in. We got to get them doing positive things.
Absolutely, bro. Well, I'm on board with you, brother. I'm going to stick with it, bro, because I don't like to start nothing I don't follow through with, brother. So I'm all in with you, brother. Hey, man, what you're doing, man, the platform that you have, man, is the greatest thing we can have, man, is a voice and a forum to have discussions and organize. You can organize right through Facebook, man. With this thing, man. So I'm proud to be a part of what you're doing in Pensacola. That's my hometown. I love it. I look forward to coming back someday for a visit, a long visit, because it's been a while since I've been back home. But I look forward, and I'll be willing to come home and participate in some forums, and be a participant. So that's in my plans, bro. That's in my plans.
All right. Well, Mr. Larry Simmons, I appreciate you. That we have spent the hour. We have actually, we're not really over yet, but yeah, the hour has been well spent. If this will be posted on my Facebook page to where you can go back and view it. It will be also on my YouTube page. So I'm going to keep sharing this show today, because I need as many people to listen to it as possible, because Mr. Simmons has given us some good advice and some good word, and he's about solutions. So, and that's what we need. So, but all right, Mr. Simmons, I will be in contact with you once again. Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
And my brother.
And like I say, this won't be the last time you're on the show. I promise you, this will not be the last time. So
Awesome.
I'll be reaching out to you. You know, we'll be talking about this topic and other topics. So I will definitely be reaching out to you.
All right, my brother. Peace, man.
All right. God bless.
Keep the good work up, my brother.
All right. Appreciate you.
All right.
All right. That was Mr. Larry Simmons joining us right here on the Truth with GWPMM Internet Radio. And again, this show has been so insightful. A lot of good information. Mr. Simmons has a lot of experience in community and doing things positive in the community, organizing, getting grants written to where they can start different programs or whatever. And that's what we need. Even though he no longer resides in Pensacola, he seemed to be very passionate about helping Pensacola, and that's what we need, regardless if you live here or not. So we will definitely be reaching out to him again in the very, very near future. So look for Mr. Larry Simmons to be on the show, either by himself or with a panel, because we need to talk about things and get things set up to where we're making progress and getting these youth on board. So, but I want to thank you guys for joining me tonight. Appreciate you listening to the show tonight. I will be back on Thursday night, 6:00 p.m. Central Standard Time, with more topics, with more information for you, regardless, whatever the topic may be. We're trying to get the local high school girls basketball coaches to join me. I'm working on that one. Hopefully, if I can get that done on Thursday, that'll be great. But we're working on that to get the local high school girls basketball coaches on to talk about the particular girls sports, the benefits, and what they have going on, because we need sports go a long way. Sports carry a lot of weight. Miss Savory gave us an update to the game there. It looks like Penn State is going to win that one. Penn State up 35-14 right now. So it looks like Penn State is going to win the Rose Bowl. So, but from the football, while I'm talking about that, Monday night, big matchup, TCU, Georgia, in the national championship game. I'm going with Georgia, even though I must say TCU can be a spoiler. I watched them the first time just the other day when they played yesterday, or whatever day they played. That was the first time I sat down and watched the whole TCU game and watched what their offense did, watched what their defense did. I can say I was somewhat impressed. So Georgia gonna have to come out and play some ball. TCU is not gonna lay down for them to just take the championship. They're gonna have to come out. Georgia gonna have to come out and play in order to gain that national championship. So we will see what happens. I'll be watching on Monday. Monday. I have a show on Monday night, but just depending on the situation, we'll see. But I'm pretty sure I'd still do the show on Monday night and be ready to watch the game at the same time. So, but once again, thank you for joining me tonight. A conversation, a much needed conversation. It will be posted on my Facebook page. So go back and listen to it when you get a chance. If you missed it, Mr. Larry Simmons was my guest tonight. So until then, I just lost my train of thought. I was about to tell you guys something and I forgot what it was. But anyway, we'll be back and we'll let you know on Thursday night. But until then, you guys be safe. Y'all be blessed. And I am out of here.